南无南无须梭哈，我南无满洲须耶，苏须耶，南无南无须耶梭哈，耶觉当作业说那那将就满努那的个苏杰，大概去年给别所能给，罗拉边界上给主巴说，觉当作业说那那将就满努那的个苏杰，大概去年给别所能给，罗拉边界上给主巴说。觉当作给说那那将就满努那的个苏杰，大概去年给别所能给，罗拉边界上给主巴说。北给修行没着着，人让历史你得见把的，三天心都没见过也，着给那大心那就把说，我说让他们到了岗的啊，大呀咪。Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. And think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind other sentient beings want happiness and do not even want a small suffering due to mistakenly engaging with objects of adoptions and abandonment, they do not experience any happiness but suffering. In our minds, sincerely cultivate loving kindness towards all kind other sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all kind other sentient beings were to have excellent happiness and the causes of excellent happiness that are virtues. May they have excellent happiness and its causes. I will cause them to have excellent happiness and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we cultivate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all mother sentient beings were free from all suffering and the causes of suffering that are non-virtues. May they be free from all suffering and its causes. I will cause them to be free from all suffering and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we cultivate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms? I should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms. Even though I should take the responsibility, I do not have the ability to place them in the state of perfect, complete enlightenment now. Who has such ability? Those perfect, complete Buddhas have the abilities to do so.
Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment. Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. The self and the aggregates neither exist as inherently one, nor as inherently different. Thus is empty of inherent existence. Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this, I will listen to the holy teaching and practice properly in order to benefit sentient beings. Today we are going to start chapter 8. Chapter 8 is teachings on concentration. So the first outline is advice. The reason it is necessary to cultivate calm abiding. So under this outline is verse 1. So he says, having developed joyous effort in that way, I should place my mind in meditative concentration. The man whose mind is distracted dwells between the fangs of afflictions. And also the first two lines of verse number 2. And he says, through isolations of body and mind, no distractions will occur.
데 니가 이거 해야지 다들이 이리수가 다들이 내도 반동 해서 나이 있어 다 나이의 거리지 보고 해서 다들 말이야 그냥 말이죠 또 나이의 지다 보고 해서 다 리더 세 리 인지다 세 nom도 위에 같이 린드 주지에 봐 세 nom도 지에 봐 리지 정말이나 다 등에 되지 못이죠 넘바 영화 좀 조금 말해야지 어디다 들어와 린드지다 세 nom도 이마 되고 그래서 와 린드지 영바다 세 nom도 영바데 기어바이나 다 등에 되지 못이죠 나이 영화 좀 조금 말해야지 어디다 돼 다 나이 영화 그냥 왜 내무치 찾는 것도 와 내무 와 나이 영화 지난 내무 치워 받는 거 그래 내무 치워 내서나 타바다와 타바다 이 토야다 모두 도리다 타바 토야다 와서 지지는 가요 내세 어디 빼는 것이야.
Having developed joyous effort that is enthusiastic about virtue in the way explained previously, I should place my mind in meditative stabilization. So in previous chapter 7, then it talks about joyous effort. So we need to generate the power of joyous effort. So then we should place our mind in meditative stabilization. So the man whose mind is distracted by laxity and excitement dwells between the fangs of afflictions, which are like poisonous creatures, because he will be quickly destroyed by them. So yeah, so here with the analogy of the fangs of poisonous creatures, or fangs of creatures or beasts, for example, tiger, leopard, a crocodile, or etc. So if our mind is distracted by laxity and excitement, then we are dwelling between the fangs of these creatures or these beasts. And if we are in these situations, then there is a great danger that we might lose our lives, right? So similar to this analogy, then if our mind is distracted by laxity and excitement, then we fall. We dwell between the fangs of afflictions, and then what kinds of danger there is if we fall or if we dwells between the fangs of afflictions is it severs the life of high status and liberation. So it severs our lives of high status and liberation. So using this analogy to illustrate the meaning, which is if we falls under the control of laxity and excitement, then it severs our lives of high status and liberation. So then how does one abandon distractions? So we need to train in meditative stabilization, and how do we abandon this distraction? In response to these questions is through isolations of body and mind from the busyness and the conceptualizations of desire and so forth. Distractions, the discordant class of meditative stabilization will not occur. So how do we abandon distractions? It is through isolations of body from the busyness and isolations of mind from the conceptualizations of desire and so forth. So through these, the distractions, which is the discordant class of meditative civilization, will not occur. Next outline is the instructions on abandoning the discordant class of calm abiding. Under this outline is the next two lines of verse number 2. It says, therefore, I should abandon the world and completely discard conceptualizations.
저거 팀을 기대서 수지 통과했어. 대 이제 팀을 선택지 지와도 꿈바이나 세연바이나 꿈바이나 달라나미 자주 다치메시 대나 토토 말 생겨와들 내가 토토 생겨와 나는 샤트도 가봐 토토스 단지디비 선택지 하자 지와 꿈바이나 다 세연바이나 달라나미 자주 다치메시 대나 나는 샤트도 가봐 토바라 세연바이나 우리 에스와 어디시 한다 이디터시.
The meaning of these two lines is, therefore, as the method for isolating the body, I should abandon the business of associating with friends, relatives, and the like, who are worldly beings. Yeah. Then, and as the method for isolating the mind, I should completely discard conceptualizations and the like in regard to the good qualities of desirable objects. So the method for so previously we talked about through the isolations of the body from business, right? So then, such as abandoning the business of associating with friends, relatives, and so forth. And then we also talked about the isolations of the mind from conceptualizations, such as desire, such as attachment, and so forth. So if it is said in the sutras that it is rare for those whose minds are distracted to generate a mundane concentration. So in the sutra, it says that it is rare for those whose minds are distracted. So for those distracted ones, it is rare for them to generate a mundane concentration. So mundane concentration is those calm abiding common to those outsiders as in non-Buddhists. So those calm abide the quality of calm abiding, which is common to non-Buddhists. So those, and that is called mundane concentration. So if one is distracted, it is difficult for one to generate even a mundane concentration. So what need is there to mention about unsurpassed enlightenment or to generate the supramundane concentration? So therefore, until I achieve unsurpassed enlightenment, I shall not let my mind be distracted. Lana maybe 讲出大句語條那些啲我做人哋之間你特別啲心定啲做咯。對，但係你做唔成嘅，但係你長出大句，你做唔成。你之間別心定叫我養捐啦咯。你之間別心定叫我養捐啦。你人哋之間你特別心定啲做。So the method for isolating the body, then it says to abandon the business of associating with friends, relatives, and so forth. And the method for isolating the mind, which is abandon or discard conceptualization such as attachment and so forth. And these two methods can be condensed into one, which is relying on isolated place. If one were to rely on an isolated place, then one can accomplish these two together, which is the isolations of the body and also isolations of the mind. So even though we say that it is a method for isolating the body, a method for isolating the mind in order to achieve calm abiding. So, however, if one has these strong isolations of the body and strong isolations of the mind, even while staying in a city, for example, then there is no need to it is not necessary for one to rely on isolated place. So if one can if one can generate a strong isolations of the mind and also isolations of the body, even when one is staying in a city, then it's not necessary for one to rely on isolated place. So also, it is rare for those whose minds are distracted to generate a mundane concentration. So one need is there to mention about unsurpassed enlightenment, which is supramundane. So next outline is identifying the causes of attachment to the world. Under this outline is first two lines of verse number 3. It says, because of attachment and due to craving for material gain and the like, the world is not abandoned. Because of attachment to inner sentient beings and due to craving for outer material gain, honor, verses of praise. So verses of praise, it refers to praise and the like. Independence on adherence to I and mine, worldly adherence is not abandoned. So, So because of attachment to inner sentient beings and due to craving for outer material gain, honor, praise, and the like, independence on adherence to I and mine. So what it means is, so due to adherence to I and mine, then one has this attachment to inner sentient beings and craving for outer material gain, honor, and praise. And due to these two causes, then worldly adherence is not abandoned. So attachment to inner sentient beings and craving for outer material gain, honor, praise, and so forth. These two are the causes why we are unable to abandon the world. So, and these two are the causes of attachment and adherence to the world. So, because of these two causes, therefore, we are unable to abandon adherence to the world.
다시 다 나라 세번다 모습 뽕 예스와 우리랑도 개발 대뽕 예스 인데들와 대뽕 주마 제대로와 네모랑 대뽕을 단 네모랑 아니래 집이 토네 네모랑 아니래 집에 샤이 토네 대뽕 예스다 로디데 대비 개발티와 아니 뭐래나 로디데 대비 개발 지고로 한다.
Next outline is instruction on abandoning attachment. Under this outline is the next two lines of verse number 3. It says, "Therefore I shall entirely abandon this, the skill analyzed in this way." So the meaning of these two lines is, "Therefore I shall entirely abandon these cravings in regard to the outer and the inner." And those skilled in the adoptions and the discarding. So those skilled in the adoptions of the objects of cultivation, which is the antidote, and the discarding of the objects of abandonment should analyze and contemplate in this way, explained below. Next outline is identifying the antidotes that abandon attachment. Under this outline is verse number 4. It says, "Having understood that afflictions are completely destroyed by special insight endowed with calm abiding, first of all, I should search for calm abiding. Further, this is achieved with joy by those unattached to the world." Having understood that afflictions of the three realms, so afflictions of the three realms refer to the desire realm, form realm, and also formless realms. So having understood that afflictions of the three realms, or afflictions, they are included within the three realms. Included within the three realms, along with their seeds, are completely destroyed by the special insight, realizing emptiness, which is endowed with the mount of calm abiding, free from laxity in excitement, in which the bliss of physical and mental pliancy have been induced. So in order to achieve the special insight in which the force of analyzing the meaning of reality is able to induce pliancy, first of all, I should search for calm abiding, because without first achieving calm abiding, it is impossible to generate special insight. So So if one achieve calm abiding, then one will be free from laxity and excitement. So in which the bliss of physical and mental pliancy have been induced. So one first attain calm abiding, and then it induce the physical and mental pliancies. So here, basically, here it talks about the antidotes to abandon the attachment is calm abiding and special insight. So first, one attain calm abiding, and then it induces the bliss of physical and mental pliancy. And then based on these calm abiding, then one attains special insight. So here it talks about the order of these two attainment, which is first one attain calm abiding, and then based on the attainment of calm abiding, one attains special insight. So without having first attained calm abiding, it is impossible for one to attain special insight. And yeah. So if one do not attain calm abiding first, then one will be influenced by the attachment to outer and inner objects. The inner is sentient beings, outer is those praise, wealth, praise, and etc. So one will be influenced by these distractions. So if one do not attain this, so one needs to attain calm abiding. So we talks about attainment. The attainments of special insight depends on the attainments of calm abiding, and the method to attain calm abiding is to abandon distractions, and distractions refers to those inner and outer. So if one do not abandon these distractions, which is attachment to outer wealth, praise, and so forth, and inner sentient beings and so forth, then one will not be able to attain the calm abiding. So one will not be able to attain concentration. One will not be able to attain calm abiding. If one is unable to attain calm abiding, one will not be able to attain special insight. So therefore, in order to abandon this attachment, so one needs to apply the antidotes, and the antidotes refer to calm abiding and special insight. Next outline is not meeting with the desirable objects. Under this outline is verse number 5. It says, because of the attachment one impermanent being has for impermanent beings, he will not see his beloved ones for thousands of lives. So the drawbacks of attachment are as follows. Because of the attachment to loved ones, one impermanent being, who himself will quickly die, has for impermanent beings such as friends and relatives. So here it talks about one needs to contemplate death and impermanence, because here it says one impermanent being, which is who himself will quickly die, and then the attachment that one impermanent being has for another impermanent beings, or has for other impermanent beings, such as friends and relatives and so forth, which is they are impermanent as well. So therefore, they are not suitable to. They are not reliable. So the frictional result is that he will not see his beloved ones for thousands of lives. That is, he will not see them forever. So here it talks about the drawbacks of attachment. So because of this attachment that one impermanent being has for other impermanent beings, such as friends and relatives, then the drawbacks is not only one will experience sufferings and unhappiness and sicknesses in this life, in future lives, then one will experience the ripening results or the frictional results of this attachment, which is one will not be able to see his beloved ones for thousands of lives.
that's what you want. Chadi, Chabashi Chimbo, the so Jola, Takana, Yidum Moa, Mantumaina, Ari Chabri, Gingerbresna, De Montana, the Silla Kawachi.
Yidu Mioma,
or Yidu Mantumaina, Gingersna, Emon, Yidu the Mantumaina, the Silla Kawa Kawachi. Silla Kawa, Tua Machina, this is Yimedeva, Machiba Chabri. Machiba Chava Temongi, the city, Yen, also Machindala, Yen, yes, Yen. The Yen Baina, getting into the number go to the Maris, say Yena, number go to the Mari. Thing into the number Joma Matubaina, well, you see she got the Devati. This, thing into the number Joma Matuna, well, you see he young Devalas of Dinner, doing this, or doing us, but there's a regular Jaran.
Things in the Yamaju Mitobara.
Go to the Maris, say, Yene, the thing is the number of the mother, thing is the number of Matobaina, that is if you what it is, yes, that it was.
So next is first two lines of verse number 6. He says, not seeing them, I will not be happy. Also, my mind will not be set in equipoise. So the meaning of these two lines is, question, what will happen as a result of not seeing attractive things? So what will happen to a person who has strong attachment as a result of not seeing attractive things? So what will happen to these strong attachment ones if he doesn't see attractive things? So in response to these questions is, not seeing them, I will not be happy. So not seeing those attractive things, I will not be happy. And due to mental unhappiness, my mind will be distracted. Thus, also my mind will not be set in equipoise with respect to meditative civilization, and I will not obtain happiness. So here it talks about those with strong attachment. If they do not see those attractive things, then they will not feel happy. And if they are not happy, then it causes mental unhappiness. So if it causes unhappiness, mental unhappiness, then their mind will be distracted. So if their mind is distracted, then their mind will not be able. Then they will not be able to set their mind in equipoise with respect to meditative civilization, and due to which, then they will not be able to develop physical and mental pliancy.
你要老师把移动啊，这看的呢，就是个头发的创看的呢，这两种问题呢，就没些把我外面把超过点嘛的，那就出去接，有多要么的事，有多要么的，这地方是真的对吧
？Next outline is discontentment, even if I obtain them. Discontentment, even if I obtain them. So under this outline is next two lines of verse number 6. They say, even if I see them, there will be no satisfaction, whereby, as before, I will be tormented by craving. So the meaning of these two lines is, even if I see beautiful things, so even if I see beautiful things, even if I acquire these attractive things, there will be no satisfaction due to craving. So whereby, as before, at the time of not seeing and desiring to see it, I will be tormented by craving. So even if I obtain those beautiful things, those attractive things, then due to a craving, I will not have satisfaction, and then I will be tormented by this craving. So due to no satisfaction or due to discontentment, then I will be tormented by craving, just as before.
到底是把他把那给写把太多啊，到甚至呢，我查询呢，让到你了不年的，就甚至基本是他们能多就是，我就说了个就地么东的学问。
Next outline is hindering liberation. Under this outline is verse number 7. It says, through being attached to sentient beings, I will be completely obscured from the perfect reality. My mind of this illusion will also be destroyed. In the end, I will be tormented by sorrow.
那经济对呢，还在对的对的话，那别拿生气的习惯的啊，那个你到了什么对到的车吧，呢，那对到的车呢，对到贵了，还是差些钱吧，差些钱吧，是经济去话，还讲了差把的钱吧，这个经济对呢，你经济对我的话，甚至了差把钱呢，经济对我的，那养到你了，养到把东把你通啊，对你通了，那这个也是，这个是吧？你点那个点把我什么通了，让他给钱吧，给钱的我也是。给结果是个，那啥子经验过了是不错了，你给钱啥子经验过了，CB， 那啥子经验过是了，把他这个时候，查询启动的，等破了就是解读嘛，破了就是进森林启动的时候，那对吧？反正破了就是读的话，破了你就解读啊，破了你就会你比啥子去了，CB出清了呢，等破了你就解读嘛，对吧？破了你就解读嘛，还是。等破了你就解嘛，对吧？呢，他把台面就落解读。
我講得呢啲過啦，啲教師同研究啲結果咯。
解讀啊，啥子人家過了，還真可以啲啥子去除了，還那樣了，是不是了？還真是不出全部要吧？呢，別講的過了就是解讀嘛的事，過了就是現在進入過來，過了研究解讀嘛的事，過了就是的研究都嘛解吧呢？過了呀，對呀，準備他把等於落解讀嘛的事，對吧？他把等於落解讀嘛的事，對吧？他把等于落这么多呢，那他把拖土嘛吧，他把拖土嘛吧，他把拖嘛对的干什么？他把拖土下来呢，把它活了，就些人活了，民结果的事，活了民结呢，都他把等于呢，别干他，让他们对吧？我是通下来，这样的也是，那对了吧？我的也是，我的对是啥？那移动啊，看两个移动啊，差别往这多吧呢？他两个移动啊，怎么先有嘛的生活吧？
For that reason, through being attached to sentient beings, so through being attached to the inner sentient beings and outer material gain, honor, praise, and so forth, then I will be completely obscured from the perfect reality. That is, I will be hindered from directly seeing the ultimate truth due to my craving for contaminated things, my mind of the illusionment. This illusion towards cyclic existence also will be destroyed, whereby I will not attain liberation. So due to attachment, then I won't. So due to attachment to those contaminated things, such as outer material gain, praise, and so forth, and inner sentient beings, then those are the causes of attachment. So because of these, then I'm obscured from seeing directly the ultimate truth or seeing the truth. Then then due to my craving for contaminated things, my mind of this illusion towards cyclic existence also will be destroyed, whereby I will not attain liberation. So it means that in order to be free from liberation, in order to be free from cyclic existence, in order to attain liberation, so one needs to generate disenchantment or disillusionment or disenchantment towards samsara. So one needs to generate this disillusionment or disenchantment towards samsara. So in other words of saying this is one needs to generate renunciation from renunciation towards the samsara. One wants to renounce the samsara. So one needs to generate this, and then one strive for liberation. So if one have strong craving towards these samsaric these contaminated things, one will not be able to generate disenchantment towards samsara, and due to which one will not strive for liberation. If one do not strive for liberation, one will not be able to attain liberation. So therefore, if one were to fall under the control of attachment, what awaits us is misery.
That will don't choose but what the knowledge of the moment do choose it. There are simple bashiki, send the mean that one do that the cinema thing, but I don't do that. Not on the video, but you don't want to do a lot of the Hachang, Shimba, that and that, the others of the Shimba, said they don't want to buy him, we did all back and on it. The same together, the Gi Shawala, that and that, you see, Jim on Jabba. 이셔와 두발아 당한 표상 공수냐 내게 뒤지 만도 봐. 다 주다라서 봤더니 내가 장자 고거나 당연히 방법이 단주 취지 다와진 저거 제자인데 사 첨부터 다 취지로 살았어. 이 취지로 자. 왜냐 봐. 이 취지로 그래서 다 된다 되죠.
Next outline is wasting the leisures and endowments. Wasting the leisures and endowments. Under this outline is first two lines of verse number 8. They say, by only thinking of them, this life will pass without any meaning. So the meaning of these two lines is, by only thinking repeatedly of the objects of desire, so objects of desire or desirable objects, then this life will pass without any meaning, whereby my leisures and endowments will go to waste. So if we are only thinking repeatedly about the objects of desire, or if we crave for these desirable objects, and do not spend any time in virtuous actions such as hearing, contemplation, and meditations, then this practitioner above, or these leisures and endowments will go to waste. So we will not be able to accomplish virtuous actions in this life. Next outline is destroying the great meaning and leading to bad migration. Under this outline is next two lines of verse number 8 and verse number 9. They say, friends and relatives lacking permanence will even destroy the everlasting Dharma. If I behave in the same way as those equal in fortune to the childish, I will certainly proceed to lower realms. If I'm led there to those unequal in fortune, what is the use of entrusting myself to the childish?
자신 휴청을 되게 수도 지워 대다다 쥐어봐 총바 저 대서다 배 까바냥바 세와데 대서다 쥐어봐 총바지 와 까바냥바 이제 시바다 까바냥바 대다다 쥐어봐 총바자 와 까바냥바서 대다다 쥐어봐 총바서 가지나 그 대답에 뭐그 샤워 하자 앞에 이제 봐라 가와서 또 지는 거라 가서 와 너무 뭐하고 뭐그 쥐어봐라 그 하자 이제 그래서 와 그래서 이제 그 가치는 언도서 내려라 맞지 그래서 내려라 그래서 와 내려라 지금 그 시바다 쥐어봐 냥바다 까바 냥바시 제와이나 다 된다 뭐그 샤워라 다 쥐와 뭐그 샤워 고소도 뭐그 샤워 좀 그래서 간다 와 얘는 뭐야 내려라 지금 그래서 또 봐봐는 다들 까바 뭐냐봐 또 봐봐다 그다음 우리 들어봐 까바 뭐냐봐다 집에 지금 연나 또 대달라 떼요 말에 대달라 맞대봤다 시바땡가 지시샤스 시바땡나 얘가 저번 팀바치는 누구 말이스 문제바 패는 거래 문제바 패는 와서가 또 대달라 저번 팀바치에 요 말이 대달라 현차 뭐 그래서 된다 되는와 대체 문제로 그래서 수도 저 시바고 차승가 되바 속에 자지 휴체모 되게 수다 저바 충바다 안놈바지 제바이나 되면도 치료 그래서 나디래와 답에 수도 저 참아도 나와 참아도 야게 요 말이와 미시고 한다 수조이나 배 차신하더라면 휴체모도 되는 여러 와 어떤 데서 빠지야 소로
Friends and relatives lacking permanence due to quickly being separated from. So it means that those friends and relatives, we shouldn't attach to friends and relatives because they lack permanence and they are not there forever. So we'll even destroy and degenerate everlasting liberation, which is immutable, and the excellent Dharma, the method for attaining it. So everlasting liberation, which is immutable. So in Tuesday class, the Tathagata essence, then we also talk about this unchanging or immutable everlasting quality. And then here it refers to the immutable everlasting liberation. So, and due to attachment to friends and relatives, it will destroy and degenerate this everlasting liberation, which is immutable. Also, the excellent Dharma, the method for attaining it. If I behave in the same way as those equal in fortune to the childish, I will certainly proceed to lower realms. So if my fortune is equal to those childish beings, and if my behavior is similar to those childish beings, then I will engage in those. My three doors will engage in. My three doors will. My three doors will engage in non-virtuous behaviors, and due to which one will be led to lower realms or bad migrations and experience all sorts of undesirables. And if if I'm led to those unequal in fortune to the superior beings and to those unequal in fortune to those who have obtained a human body presently, what is the use of entrusting myself to childish ordinary beings? This is because I will not achieve my desired aims, and what is undesirable will increase. So therefore, one needs to abandon attachment. One needs to abandon attachment, and those attachment, such as attachment to friends and relatives. Next outline is not relying on childish friends, and they are different and they are difficult to rely upon. Not relying on childish friends, and they are difficult to rely upon. Under this outline, there are two verses, verse number 10 and 11. They say, one moment they are friends, and in a while they become enemies. Since they become angry even at the sources of joy, it is difficult to please ordinary people. They are angry when something of benefit is said, and they also turn me away from benefit. If I do not listen to what they say, becoming angry, they will proceed to lower realms.
hiji limbo 너를 잡았어 hiji 못해봐 저 간다 끼지기 배 자와 이제라 끼지기 랑사 도고 차추 끼제 진지 야불에서 랑사 도고 차 야 끼제 진이 뭐 찌디러셔서 랑사 배 자차는 게 근데 여러 배 하자 림보 수조 강가도 말와 근데 림보 그래서 딱 간다 가이니 개와라 딱 간다 좋아 그래서 파콜라 파야보 이 샤와라 파 타바다 탄지진도 고바토야라 파 내가 야보지 이제 시와다 시와 삼보지 제발이나 야고 초그래 공부 제는 그랬어 공부 제는 거 뒤에 가고 말이야 이 시비 수도 저 화장들이 대대 림보디 코 내가 아다 요발아 화장 못 가와다 내 깔래 가고 싶다 요랬어 와 그럼 내가 나시 누가 깔래 가고 싶어 요랬어 근데 림보 수도 어디 그러나 내가 나시 누가 깔래 가고 싶어 요랬어 그러나 편바면은 좋아시 그러나 편바주면은 좋아시 내 맞아 다자 다 나서지 피비 개월 도바 치그레스 와 저 개월 도바 치그레스 왜 대다 그런 게 너바데 많이 봐이나 야 군도 치그레스 저 군도 치그레스 그 군도 대왕에 나가서 군도 왕에 니니까 땅에 넣어 치그와 넣어 치그와 어다 들리신다 다 하장이 어디 시바 수도 랑도라 휴천보 모는게 시바 림보도 들어버 다 림보스라 아까 논지 뭐지야 요 말에 시거마도 지난 거절라 조고 마시 거절라 이거 마시 들리 마기자 말이와 무슨 말이
저 망보 마치예요.
저 대소 하장배 이게 차바 피하게 돼 그거 제기는 대치단 이거 마시 뒤에서 해 샤세 이렇게 해야 되면 야 그런 사람한테 니뭐 마시 이거 마시 들리라고요 마다 들리자만 그거요 내가 와서 여러 좋은 거 만들어서 와 나한테 하자가 넣어서 보이나 내 땅용 뒤지 샤와이나 또 코랑 게 디바사고 수수는 디바사고 그래서 와 니앱치냐 말고 말이야 코나 들리 넣어서 보이나 땅용 샤고 그래서 그 코랑 하 로디 맞아 코랑 샤 수수 대바이나 코랑 게 디바사고 수수이나 디바사고 그래서 어디 지금 말해서 그러면 저랑 와서 시파스로 저 페이지 로디 제 마시스라고요 말에 로보 마디스라고요 말에 대자와니 계속 고는 그래야 말이야 와 바뀌어요.
So due to their unstable mental continua, so due to dia, so dia refers to those childish ordinary beings who are greatly confused about the objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment, and who are of adult faculty, and those who are those who have trouble kinds of behavior, their behavior or their natures is sort of as a problematic. So then then one moment they are friends, and in a moment of uttering the slightest unpleasant words, they become enemies. So in relation to those unstable mental continua, or those childish ordinary beings who are of dull faculty, who has a problematic behavior, or who are greatly confused about objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment, then if you say something nice or pleasant to them, then they are readily becoming your friends. So due to these one or two pleasant words, and then if you say something unpleasant to them, or one or two words, and then they are readily becoming your enemies. So since they become angry even when involved in the sources of joy, virtue, it is difficult to place the childish ordinary people. So even if you say something nice to them, or explain virtuous actions to them, or explain the method for attaining liberation or omniscience, then they are not happy about it. And then they are angry when something of benefit is said. And besides that, through various means, they also turn me away from virtue, the cause of benefit. And yeah, then if I do not listen to what they say, becoming angry with me, they will proceed to lower realms. So here, it doesn't mean that you do not associate with these friends at all. So it doesn't mean that you do not associate with these friends at all. So it means that you do not associate you do not often or frequently associate with them. So because frequent association with them, then one will be influenced as well. So if you associate with them, if you say something nice, then they become your friends. And then if you say something unpleasant to hear, then they immediately become angry, and then they become your enemies as well. So what we should deal with them is the proper way to deal with them is you stay indifferent to them. So you do not associate much with them, and then you do not totally abandon them as well. So because if you so if you remain indifferent to them, do not frequently associate with them, or do not utterly abandon association with them, then you will not cause oneself and also others to get angry. So you will not cause them to get angry as well, because as it says here, if they becoming angry at me, they will proceed to low realms. So you do not associate frequently with them, then is also oneself and others will not accumulate negativities. Next outline is not obtaining benefit from them, but rather becoming involved in harm. Under this outline, there are two verses, verse 12 and 13. They say they are envious of superiors, competitive with equals, and proud towards inferiors. They are conceited when praised, and if anything unpleasant is said, they get angry. When is any benefit obtained from the childish? Through associating with the childish, non-virtue will certainly ensue, such as praising myself and belittling others and discussing the joys of secular existence.
다 지다 아도 이제 본이요 말아. 본이요 말데 근데 휴청 못 지는 게 되게 다 장사 되는 말아.
So they are envious of those superior to them, competitive with equals, and observing those inferior to them become proud. So they refers to those ordinary beings who have strong attachment, hatred, and ignorance. Then, to the extent that even they are envious of those superior to them. So even their family members or their parents, then they feel envious of them, and then they even compete with those who has similar quality with them. For example, in terms of wealth, resources, youthfulness, and etc. So those who have strong attachment, hatred, and ignorance, they will have this competitiveness with the equals, and observing those inferior to them, then they become proud. So they degenerate conceit when praised, and if anything unpleasant is said, they get angry. When is any benefit obtained from the childish is not obtained. So it means that we will not obtain any benefit from such kinds of childish beings or such kinds of childish ordinary beings. What we will obtain is just harm. And not only that, in addition, through associating with the childish, no matter what, non-virtue will certainly ensue, such as praising oneself in the presence of others, in the presence of other childish companions, and belittling others, and discussing the joys of cycle existence, such as kings, citizens, and so forth, places, and etc. So those speech which is appropriate or inappropriate, then if we associate frequently with these childish ordinary beings, then we will also involve in these activities as well. So what we will obtain is just harm, not benefits. So hence, I should not associate with the childish. So it means that I should not associate. So I should not associate for a long time or frequently with those childish beings. And so here it doesn't mean that I should not associate with the ordinary beings. So it doesn't mean literally as that. So what we should understand is I should not associate for a long time or frequently with those childish ordinary beings, and those childish ordinary beings refers to those ordinary beings who have strong attachment, hatred, and ignorance. So otherwise, then ordinary beings will also include ordinary beings such as ordinary beings of Mahayana ordinary beings, such as those bodhisattvas on the path of preparation, on the path of accumulation. They are ordinary beings as well. And they are ordinary beings who haven't entered the path, but they have developed loving kindness and compassion in their continua. So those are ordinary beings as well. And however, those ordinary beings are not the ordinary beings that we are referring to here. Next outline is summary. Under this outline is first two lines of verse 14. They say, others and I, relying upon each other in this way, will bring about nothing but ruin. So the meaning of these two lines is other childish beings. So again, other childish beings refer to those childish ordinary beings who has problematic behaviors or who are of difficulties and etc. And I, relying upon each other in this way, will bring about nothing but ruin, since we will become companions in negativities. So if we associate with them for a long time, then it will become obstacles to our virtuous practices. So, and here it says that if we do not associate for a long time, we do not always associate with them, and then and it doesn't mean that we should discard them and then we do not associate with them at all. It doesn't mean that. So what we should, the proper way to deal with them. So it is common, right? There are people in our society or in our surrounding. So what we should, the proper way to deal with them is to remain indifferent to them. So indifferent with them. So it means that we do not associate much, but it doesn't mean that we discard them or we do not associate at all with them. So because if we associate frequently with them or for a long time, then oneself and others will create negativities.
간다 노데 사고데 소소살 따빠 레데 요나 레데 요바이나 다수 코야 하마고자 수도바 사 이즈바 타리 보다야 사제 힌다킬라파 코 하마고야 리지파 수도 예장 해서 수도바 예네 와 뭔가 수도바 예네 인도네 콜라 치두자라고 말해 저제고 말해 가케제고 말해 수도바 지 프라 하마고자 지파 데리 예 데와이나 데노다데 이거 말해 나도 본스 데리다 나 본스 데리지 노라 잡았다 중고는 막 내가 시도와 어디 내들이 아주 코로나 옆에 따당데 배도 자지 리 본스 기장하다 Next outline is the modes of abandoning them. So the modes of abandoning them under this outline is next two lines of verse 14 and first lines of verse 15. We say, they will not enact my purpose, and I too will not enact their purpose. I should flee far away from childish people. And the meaning of these three lines is, those childish ordinary beings will not enact any purpose beneficial to me. So these childish ordinary beings, they will not bring any benefits to me, and I will not enact their purpose. So even if I try to explain something that will accomplish great purpose for them, to them, and then they do not listen as well. So I too will not be able to enact their purposes. So therefore, I should flee far away from childish people. So so in case if these beings who have strong attachment, hatred, or ignorance, then they always come to me. Then so I myself should go somewhere far away. So should go should flee far away, or should go somewhere that this person doesn't know the whereabouts, and then I should go to these places where this person doesn't know these places, and then so through doing in this way, it will not create problems to oneself and to others as well. So here it doesn't talk about we should discard them, or we should look them in, or we should see them in a very negative way. So next two verses talks about hatred. So the next three lines of verse 15 and verse 16, they say, when they are encountered, I should place them joyfully. I should behave well, merely ordinarily, without becoming greatly familiar.
In the same way, a bee takes honey from a flower, I should take merely the purpose of Dharma and remain unfamiliar, as though I have never seen all of them before. Yep. So sometimes when they are encountered, I should place them joyfully. I should behave well, free from attachment and hatred, merely in ordinary comportment, without become too greatly familiar. So when we happen to meet them, then we should please them, and then remain indifferent and remain neutral to them. So this is how we should deal with them. Even so, sometimes if we encounter or meet them, then we should please them. So other than that, then we should remain neutral or remain indifferent, and without becoming too greatly familiar. So even when I go begging for alms in town and the like, so this especially refers to those ordained people. So even when I go begging for alms in town and the like, in the same way, a bee takes honey from a flower without getting attached to its color. So just like a bee, they only takes the honey or the nectar from the flower, and without getting what color of that flower is regardless to those, is not important to those bees. So they will only take the nectar and then without getting attached to its color. And I should take religious robes and arms merely for the purpose of Dharma. So if we go begging for alms in town and the like, then so even if we were to meet someone whom we have getting alms from this person or from these benefactors, then we shouldn't act also in a way that is very that you have known this person for a long time, that you are very familiar with this person. So what you should do is you should remain neutral, remain indifferent, and then you do not speak much, and then your behavior is pacified and tame. Even if you meet someone's benefactors, for example, whom you have getting alms from this person for a long time, and remain unfamiliar with business as though I have never seen all the beings before. So in relation to this, then I'll say those advice from our parents then is very good. For example, if we go to a crowded place, if we go to a place with many people, then speak less. And then if we go to a place with many things, then take care of your hand. So it means that you do not steal, you don't steal things. And then if you see something beautiful, or a beautiful form, for example, then cast your eye downwards.
dāla māmbō gāwō shi, tīndi nīpa chāngsi nō, chī wōsān jīpa jī sē, tā tī nō mā lō jān jī sā rwa, tā dāna kāndā, nīpa māng, dāna, kūtī shē sō sē tā, dāla, jīwa māmbō shi, tīndi, lō tī tē sō sō kāndā rwa, ngā jā pōpa chē rwa, tīndi rwa, tīndi, nī hi, jā pā chē rwa, ngā sō jā pā tā, ngā jī sī wā tē, tī jī chē pā jī rwa, jā pā tā ngā jī sī wā tē rwa, jā pā sī wā tē, 자바스와도 수수를 빼나 하장빼 신다고 넣어나 있는 빼 저런 빼 랑손 제바다 와 랑손 제바다 가르토라 있나 빼 저런 빼 쉬고야 뭐 누스나 수수 빼 하장 세 캠 대바 와 나저다 자바니 세 캠바 지바지 와세 캠바 내가 쳐봐요 빼 들리 넣어니 다 수수 빼 랑손 쉬고죠 수수 빼 수도야고 쉬고요 소소 존재고 쉬어요세 리베 소소 하자 세 캠바 되 잡아
생 캠바 되 잡아리 나게 말이
나지 잡으니까 네가 세 캠바 집어라 다 잡아서는 돼. 다 수수수도가 배랑서 야고 쉬어야 수수수도 배 쉬어지 간리 있는 지도가 돼 많이 봐지 다 신 글로벌이나 배처럼 쉬고도 스나코로 수수 배 하장 쉬어야 봐지 리기 세 캠와 캠바지 다 나지서 돼 왔다 콜라티는 앞에 쉬어지 인사한테 세 캠바지 봐야 나지서 돼 콜라티는 안 투고 쉬어지래 콜라티는 안 손재고 쉬어지래 콜라티는 안 미치고 쉬어지래 내 나지야 내 나지
개바 말이 개바 말이
잡아 말와 잡아서 제발 세 캠만 봐라 집아 봐지 다 지레라고도 이제 상호당당하고 가가서
개바에 대해 라미 돼 봐라
네 제가 그냥 수소배 시간이 뽑아 가지고 지다 와 뽑았습니다 수소배 세 캠 다 든지 차비 와다 든지 니 자파 차와 주나 다 나자다 차비 예비게 된 나와도 지워도 든지 받지 그래 다 되는 거야 말해서 간다 내들이 와 이게 that's all.
Next outline is the drawbacks of pride. Under this outline is verse 17. I have many possessions as well as honor, and many people like me. Nurturing conceit in this way, I shall be made terrified after death. So the meaning of this verse is, I have many possessions, I have honor, and many people like me. Many people like me. Nurturing conceit and arrogance in this way, in this way, then due to proceeding to hell, and because of the misdeeds of pride and attachment, I shall be made terrified after death. Thus, I should abandon this pride. So here it says arrogance. So arrogance and pride, they are quite similar. However, they are not exactly the same. So arrogance and pride, they are similar in being a puff up mind. So they're similar in being a puff up mind. And however, arrogance arrogance is something like this. When someone praise you, saying that you look very young, and then you look very pretty, and then you look very handsome, and etc. Then you're so good, and etc. So then you have this puff up mind, and that is arrogance. And pride is something like this. So I feel I feel I'm higher than others. I feel I'm a more important or a bigger person than someone else. So pride is a puff up mind. Then in relation to others, so in relation to someone inferior or lower than you, and then arrogance, it doesn't need to compare oneself with others or with those inferior ones. And then if someone praise you saying that you're very young, you look very young, you look very pretty, handsome, and etc., then you have this pop-up mind, and that is arrogance. So this arrogance and pride, they are similar but not exactly the same. So therefore, we should abandon this pride, arrogance, and so forth. Dewi na te bao da tembu de de wasawe. Dewi nama mo mai lam na. Oh, that's right. 真是呢。講到其實睇先係啲拍幾個月啦，啲拍幾個月啦。啊，錯。這個講咗就佢哋嚟講就，有個將來弄啲，將來下邊也是，那麼可能唔去都是送公司來就。你哋點啲你哋做啲點能把蒙藥嘅，睇一個來，你哋電話一個來，能把蒙藥嘅。對啦，電話一個。點啲呢？嗱。Oh, so next outline is the drawbacks of attachment. Under this outline is verse 18 and first 2 lines of verse 19. So they say, so thoroughly confused mind by the combinations of whatever attachment to this and that, multiplying into thousands, suffering will ensue and arise. Hence, the wise should not be attached. Fear is produced from attachment. So verse 18 is start with the word so, right? So it can be so, therefore, hence, and etc. And if His Holiness Dalai Lama also mentioned in the teaching that it would be better to say dewe. So in Tibetan, so is in Tibetan. So in Tibetan is dewe. So and then His Holiness say it's better to use the word dewe. So a different spelling. So it's translated as happiness. So it can also be it follows the advice of His Holiness Dalai Lama. Then this line would be translated as thoroughly confused mind about happiness, or a thoroughly confused mind about happiness. So if follow this Tibetan word dewe, which is translated as so, is also fine because it explains the meaning. It explains the reason.
Debi inde jiwa, debi inde ji di, so debi inde ji di sti jata, debi inde ji di, yi namba mamba na la se, debi inde ji di, yi dewa yi namba mamba na la, ye kanta kana chapan jiwa, ye deda de don ni roa, robale, deda robale, ye bu dunga mamba tong de jiwa yese, ta ko ga ju bu ji de so ya, wa debu dunga mamba tong de jiwa yese ti shono ba, si so de da wa. Siso devo tonto yes devo tonto da wolma da hinda lo devo shi ya tombo de da wa devo tonto siso de
Sigangsung.
sigangsung wa
That's all. So, following His Holiness Dalai explanations in relation to the first 3 lines of verse 18. So, as mentioned just now, then His Holiness Dalai's advice is it would be better to change the spelling of these words, or these words. So would be better. Would be better to it would be better to translate the word "so" to happiness. So if translate this word to happiness, then the first line would be translated as the mind thoroughly confused about happiness. So then, in relation to these 3 lines, following His Holiness Dalai Lama explanations, it means that those childish ordinary beings whose minds are confused about the happiness of desirable objects, whose minds are confused about the happiness of desirable objects or the quality of the desirable objects. Then so following if we read our commentary, it says, so your mind, which is thoroughly confused regarding beneficial action, right? So if you translate the word "so" to happiness, then in the commentary it would read something like this: your mind, which is thoroughly confused about the happiness of desirable qualities, and then by the combination that is totaling up of as many attachments as there are objects, multiplying into thousands, suffering results will ensue and arise. So if one were to fall under this confusion, then one will be tormented by suffering. 차바랑 domba choba, right? 차바랑
choba. Indigia choni, the mambuja, ya tongi, the dongi mambu chani, the jibinami, the Jebituma tongi, what Jebituma is. The Jinsitina, the Landola Kibi, Landola Kibanaji, the Nicola Chapa Majava, the Chapala, Windoji, Windola, Manjipachi, Nimi to some down, yes, that's a what. Chapiwan Windoji, Nimila, some down, the Chapa, yes, yes, that is what Chapping the Millicent one, but then decided to forward the Chapping the Millicent.
So in our commentary, it says, by the combination that is totaling up of as many attachments as there are objects, multiplying into thousands. So here it says that like you combine all the attachment, you combine all the attachment, or you collect all the attachment and then multiply into thousands, and then the suffering ripening results will ensue and arise. Hence, those who are wise regarding what is to be adopted and what is to be discarded should not be attached to possessions and honor. So because fear in the bad migrations is produced from attachment. So basically, here it talks about the drawbacks of attachment.
找到明白兄弟讲念到找比出去的广东东都念多个是我这里多，到底记得我记得心里多。
Kung ta kisla tangi dobi yunde gi dewa sa de doyun gi dewa den zo re.
对，
dobi yunde gi
那是，
那是
第二个名字就是比较太低，今天差不多几个吧，
啊
一几个对吧？也我教的地方都没吧，都一起。
kana de doyun gi gibe dewa mong wa den zo. Na so di na so next outline is inappropriate to rely on objects of desire. Under this outline is next two lines of verse 19 and verse 20. They say, firmly understand well that it is the nature of these things to be discarded. Although I may have many possessions, be famous and well spoken of, and I do not know where the collection of possessions and renown will go.
跟老师说，
多谢。
到这里的话，到差别的话，差别人的中央，那一定，我这差别的一定要忙的，像一些点么啥啊，多了不的是，但一些点么啥啊，多了的，就是这个一些点把解决是不一些就好过不解决的，是等等等等，是说你把解决的，一些点把解，然后都把解决是吧？先把解决的是看到的话，一定要嘛，你的年把当呢，这忙不充足，咋把的年把充就讲。 是吧？那你把就是得到了什么？得到了什么？肯定呢，忙不情况呢？他刚才去一次，那你把它找不错，肯定呢，得刚才，看到这里面的都没事是吧？看到这，弄啊，现在的去的地老多的呀，比如说，都是人记了的房子，都知道弄这些是吧？东西都没多些，我看到多，里面讲的我也没多，去一次。 这刚才我就连着了是吧？第一件事判断呀嘛，就是接受了呀嘛，那是其次呢。其次呢，你把得到了是吧？有的话，就是接受呢，给我嘛的是，是吧？所以说那个接受判断给我嘛的是。我第一手上，那做了看到，你必须是吧？就是一定要嘛，真的的话，一定要嘛的是，一定要嘛，但一定没有说的，不得了强行的功夫啊，一定要嘛，真的的对吧？
Although these objects of attachment arise, they are not trustworthy. So those material gain, fame, praise, and so forth. So they are not trustworthy. With firm conviction, understand well that it is the nature of these things to be inevitably discarded. So although I may have many possessions, be famous and well spoken of, at the time of death, I do not know where the collections of possessions and renown will go, meaning that they will not accompany me at the time of death. So at the time of death, no matter how many possessions you have, how famous you are, and how famous you are, and etc. So at the time of death, I do not follow these material gain, fame, and etc. And they do not follow me either.
那就是说，他对面了，肯定明白对吧？到了明白经验呢，对比到了继续到了对白经验呢，明白某个继续是，那就学了我记得对面去学是吧？
Next outline is praise doesn't benefit, derision doesn't harm. Derision doesn't harm. So under this outline is verse 21. It says, if there is someone who derides me, what is there for me to be happy about in being praised? And if there is another who praises me, what is there for me to be unhappy about in being derided? Derided.
他刚才对面了，恰当么地方是吧？好像个对白呢，对了，好像高啊的，差不多，没了当白呢，对了，好像个当晚的空中去，就不要嘛意思，就你就这个是呢，好像对白呢到了，我呢给到了面嘛，有的是我们个东西，其有的是，这个是的，你要是说，按照到高啊继续是对吧？好像对那高啊继续，这高啊是一个。 继续我是对的话，看到对都是对的些，对了嘛？对，那这边好像个调查就当嘛呢，你说搞我这样就是说被调查当嘛那些说查给有的位是呢， 띵해 봐야 봐. So 배창 시분 일에 산주 심바래 상지에 라좀 말에 샤스니 시비지 더 말이나 이 시가 가야게요 말에 저 근데 러바 장지 라좀 봐서 산주 심바 차 빨리 가보는 거. 근데 계속 다 저런 예 야구치는 모두 저런 치낭시래자 신진낭시래자 러바이나 예 근데 콘도 사가 그런데 나라 신지도 치낭시 차게 하고 지원도 차게 하고 와 와다 들리 소자 다 들리라 상관에 예 때나 하장이 가 잡아 그 모두 근데 예 때바나시 차게 하면 매바나시 차게 하고 말했어 차요 말에 그 들리 소자 다 때문에 가리면 차단 제고 말했어 근데 너도 되지
Attachment and aversion to praise and duration is inappropriate. If there is someone who derides me behind my back, what is there for me to be happy about in being praised to my face by someone else? For there is hindrance to that happiness. And if there is another who praises me, what is there for me to be unhappy about in being derided by someone else? So basically what it means is if someone praise me, then you shouldn't be too happy about it, because if someone praise you that, or you are like you are an arhat, you are a bodhisattva, you are a Buddha, but it's very difficult for me. It's very difficult for us to become as what we are praised of, right? So to become a Buddha is not that easy. So even if someone praise you that you are a bodhisattva, you are a Buddha, then what you should do is you shouldn't be too happy about it, because it is difficult to become what you are praised of. And then if someone criticizes you or derides you saying that, or you are like a dog, and then you are like an animal, and etc., then since I do not become what they derides me, what they criticize me of, so then there is no need to be unhappy about it.
다 시바도 로바까지 뒤인지를 잡아내서 어디 신진내가 남소다 저희 정의 문구나 당연 이제 비스 대인지도 삼바 판세 어디 소로가 진도와
Next outline is, since it is difficult to associate with childish beings, do not attach to their business. Under this outline is verse 22. It says, if even the victor is unable to please the beings of various inclinations, then one need to mention about a negative person such as I. Therefore, I should give up worldly thought.
어디 되는데서 간다. 또 시바도 로바가 와서 간다 되네. 간다. 또 신진나 저발로 또 소소 매바 커다 매바 난서 봐 이거 해서 신진나 여러분 신진나 저발서 한 상황도 다다. 또 정시 소소 매바 난서 봐 드리어스. 다 드리어스가 소소리 배차 상쇼이나 지시 야부지시 타바 탄지 토야지 야부지시 바이나 가실라 야부차가 가실라 야부차가 말에 가시 나만 누구 말했어 그러와 가시니나 가시 나만 누구 말했어 나만 누가 소자 네 누가 소자 제발 전에 나 저거라 대 제바 이제 그게 또 자와 상지이나 아마 최송으로 가게 나만 누구 드리어스 이거 맞도 드리어스 다다가 하장을 로 멤버 지기 뜻인지 당지라 이거 같이 두스 이거 이거지 가요세 대단들이 와
If even the victor who enacts purposes with diverse assorted activities is unable to please the beings of various inclinations, various interests, and so forth, then what need to mention that a negative person like me, who doesn't know their mentality, is unable to please them. So even if we say something positive, or if we say something positive or virtuous things to them, then some will like it, and then some will dislike it. And then similarly, not similarly. So it is difficult to please them. It is difficult to please them for me, who doesn't know their mentality. So even Victor, who knows that who enacts the purposes with diverse activities, who knows the beings of various inclinations, various interests, it's difficult to please all of them as well. So because when Buddha gives teaching, and then some will not like, and some do not like Buddha's teaching as well. So a person like me who doesn't know their mentality, then what need is there to mention that I'm unable to please them? So therefore, I should give up the thought to associate with worldly beings. Under the same outline is verse 23. It says, they deride sentient beings who have no possessions and say bad things about those who do. How will they, who are by nature difficult to get along with, produce happiness? They admonish sentient beings who have no friends and possessions, and then saying, in the past you failed to create merit, and deride them. And they say bad things about those who have possessions, that they practice wrong livelihood, they steal, and etc. So they are by nature difficult to get along. So they are by nature difficult to get along refers to those with bad behaviors. Hence, how will these childish ones produce happiness in me? They will not. Thereby, I should not associate with them. So I should not associate much, or I do not frequently or for a long time associate with them. And then what I should do is I should remain indifferent, or I should remain neutral. So by doing so, oneself and others will not create or accumulate negativities. Next outline is stating the scriptural source. Under this outline is verse 24. It says, it has been said by the Tathagatas, never befriend the childish, because without their welfare, these childish ones will not be happy. So it has been said by the Tathagatas, never befriend the childish ordinary beings, because without their welfare excelling that of others, these childish ones will not be happy no matter what. So without their welfare excelling that of others means that they only regard their own welfare as the most important ones, as the most important and as the most precious, and then they disregard others' welfare. So this is what it means by without their welfare excelling that of others. These childish ones will not be happy no matter what. So even if you say something virtuous things to them, or even if you try to help them, then they are not happy about it. And in the Moon Lamp Sutra, it also says that do not make friends with ordinary beings, even if you speak words about Dharma and they do not believe in them, and then they get angry. So we stop here. We conclude with dedication. We dedicate these roots of virtue to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and to the excellent happiness of all sentient beings. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha Dharma, illustrated by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. May they live eons long, may they enjoy good health, and may their enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread in all directions. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue, especially to our beloved teacher, Kyabshe Lama Sopa Rinpoche. May Rinpoche's holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to world peace. May the world, may excellent happiness prevail throughout the world. May wars, conflicts, disaster, natural disaster, pandemic, diseases be pacified immediately. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who pass away, especially due to these conditions. And may their negativities accumulated since speaking less time be pacified immediately and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment.
Sabe Kiva de Tendang Roa Kun La Kambe Nang Kiva Jizu Lozang Rama Yi Teme Nimbo Rindo Seje Jo Chanchu Senjo Rimbo Jema Kiva Nang Ki Kuji Kiva Nyamba Me Bayang Kone Kondo Pewa Sho Dabe Bawe Chida Kemba Dang Kundo Sambo Te Ande Jinde Te Takugi Jizu Daloji Kiva de Da Nanje Rato Omi Tawa Rimbo Jema Kiva Nang Ki Kuji Kiva Nyamba Me Bayang Kone Kondo Pewa Sho Omi Tawa Rimbo Jema Kiva Nang Ki Kuji Kiva Nyamba Me Bayang Kone Kondo Pewa Sho Omi Jesu No Ju Belang Chi Zi 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 Kan Chi Ten Dui Chana Bemo Tenzin Gazola Soa De So Shen De Lu Jo Jo Jiten Kan De Pede Ma Lu Ba Kan De Jung Wei Sambi Shinu Ka De Su Me Tenzin Gazola Soa De So Tu Je Lu Jo Jo Tame Te Ma Ki Se Nye Rang Zo Lo Sang Ge Wa Ye Se Ge Ba Ji Raja Shin Ji Cha Yo Ma Le Wa Pe Le Me Ba Chu Be Ge Le So Yong So Zo Pe Tu Te Ren Bo Ji She Tang Chu Be Sin Jing Be Wa La Na Yang Mi Shin Su Be Ko Jia Ten Su Me Che Zhe La Ma So Wa De Pe De Ma Lu Jo Wei Ko Ji Ko Ji Wei Ten Da Ma Gyu Jo Wa Yi Ji Tu Se Ba Se Lo Mo Lo Bo Shi Wa Shi Te Yi Le Ba Wei Dang Chu Zu Ge Se Qin La Dang Jia Se Na Ki Tu Ge La Bo Jin Lu Me Ten Be Hong Du Sa Be Zun Ge Sang Du Ji Be Dong Yu Ji Shu Ra Wei Ko Wei Xin Gang De Pe Dang De Wa Ma Lu Jong Wei Ne Ji Le Se Wa Ten Zhen Ge Zui Sha Be Si Te Ba Du Deng Yu Ji